Hello, my name is Anne Hillerman, and I'm happy to have a few minutes to talk to you about my new book, The Sacred Bridge. The Sacred Bridge is the 7th book in my continuation of the mystery series, which my father, Tony Hillerman, started back in the 1970s. The Sacred Bridge features Jim Chi as the main character, but it also includes Bernadette Manuelito, who is Jim's wife and another officer and detective with the Navajo Police Force. And it makes mention of Joe Leaphorn, the legendary lieutenant, who's the mentor of both of the detectives who are still working. So in The Sacred Bridge, Jim Chi has taken a little time off from work and gone to Lake Powell, but specifically to Rainbow Bridge, which is a sacred site for the Navajo people and also for 4 other tribes in the Southwest and probably for many other indigenous people. So Jim does a hike to Rainbow Bridge, says some prayers, kind of gets his soul settled. And then as he's coming back, he discovers a body floating in Lake Powell. So the mystery concerns who is this dead person? Why is he dead? And what happened? Is it an accident? Is it a murder? So this is the story that occupies Jim Chi for most of The Sacred Bridge. As part of his work, he goes to the Navajo mountain community. There's some suspicion that perhaps someone from this community was involved in the murder. And because it's a traditional community and rather isolated, the sheriff who is involved in the investigation asks Jim if he would help because he's thinking many of the people there are more comfortable speaking Navajo and would be more comfortable telling their story to a Navajo detective rather than a non-Navajo person. So I'm not going to say anything else about what happens, but in the end, the crime is solved. So The Sacred Bridge is actually the first book I've written where Jim Chi is the lead character. In my second book, Rock with Wings, I gave Jim Chi a pretty major role, but I realized as I was working on that book that Bernadette Manuelito kept tapping me on the shoulder saying, wait a minute, I need more to do here. So in the end, that book kind of had them equally balanced. Again, in Sacred Bridge, I really wanted Jim Chi to have a chance to take the lead. And it was interesting to me to be working with him. He was a character I had always really liked. And in The Sacred Bridge, I'm able to show a lot of different facets of his personality. How he is a really skilled investigator and very intuitive when it comes to deciding if people are telling him the truth or telling him part of the truth or not telling him the truth at all. And that really helped him in terms of this investigation because he comes across people who have a lot of secrets. And his natural ability to get people to open up to him really helped him to solve the crime, to figure out who the man is who he finds floating in Lake Powell and what it was that led to his death. So my second detective, Bernadette Manuelito, she's driving home from seeing her mom. She's on the highway going back to Shiprock from Tawadlena, and she sees a hitchhiker. And the hitchhiker reminds her somewhat of her sister Darlene's boyfriend. So she pulls over, and then she realizes, no, this isn't Darlene's boyfriend. And the young man comes up to her car and tries to get in. Bernie tries to talk to him. And then she realizes that there's another car that's trying to run him down. So before Bernie can do anything, the hitchhiker is purposely struck and killed by this car that not only hits him the first time, but then backs up over him. So of course, Bernie is horrified and angry that someone would be so disrespectful of human life. So this is the case that Bernie starts out with, which ultimately leads her to a marijuana cannabis farm on the Navajo Nation, and inadvertently involves her mother and her sister. They are both put in great jeopardy in The Sacred Bridge. titling my books has always been a challenge for me. I know there are authors who start out with the title. That kind of gives them the impetus to then write the book. But I always come up with the title after I finish the book. So with Sacred Bridge, I knew that bridge had to be in the title because of Rainbow Bridge. But also because this book was a bridge for me. This was the first book that I had written since my late husband, Don Stroh, had passed. And it was kind of getting this book really was what sustained me, I would say, through my grief process, through kind of reinventing my life as a different person without my husband of more than 40 years. And I also like the idea of bridge because both of my main characters, Jim Chi and Bernadette Manuelito, are sort of at a point in their life where they're thinking of what's coming. And I see a bridge as sort of the span that takes you from where you are now to where you're going in the future. But also, you could think of a bridge as something that takes you back to where you want to be. So I kind of liked that metaphor as I was thinking of what the title should be. And the other way that bridge came in useful as a title was thinking of the sand paintings that really captured Joe Leaphorn's imagination, and thinking of Jim Chi as looking for these sand paintings as a way to connect himself to the sacredness of his own culture and the life that he had left behind when he decided to become a full-fledged police officer and leave behind his training as a medicine man. And also as a bridge between himself and Joe Leaphorn. That relationship has had a lot of friction and a lot of trouble. And I think now that both of these characters are older, perhaps it was time for them to think of a way that they could have a bridge to kind of connect their common interests and their real respect and affection for each other. So that's sort of the story in a nutshell. I had great fun coming up with all the twists and turns of this plot, and I hope that everyone who reads it will enjoy it too.